Does anybody have any questions before we begin? All right, fine, no questions. So, we're going to talk about this thing called the Internet and a web page. So I'm going to bring up, I have up a web page, Weber State's web page. This is Weber State's main web page. And we're going to try to find out what a web page is. What makes up a web page. So I'm going to move down here because it has a little bit more. When I look at this, I'm going to try to decide what is a web page. We're going to find out at a foundational level, a web page is nothing but a document that has stuff on it, like a Word document. So I look at Weber State's web page, and what I see here, oh no, you can't see it, it's too light. What I see right here is this looks like it may possibly be, just maybe, kind of, sort of, I don't know, I didn't design this web page, but just looking at it from a Microsoft Word perspective or point of view, this could be like newspaper columns, so there's a column here and a column here. Maybe. I don't know, maybe. It could actually be a table where this is a column, this is a column, this is a column, and this is a column. Do you know how to put tables in a Word document? All right, so let's say, for instance, that it is a table. Nicholas, you need to move over so you're sitting beside someone. Let's say that this is a table. I know how to put a table in there. It looks like one cell of the table. Well, here's 4 columns, and I see 2 rows. It looks like somebody put an image in these cells. Do you know how to put an image in a Word document? So this is text. I see some pretty text here. This is some black text. This is some purple text. Do you know how to change the color of text in a Word document? Okay, here's some small text. This might be bolded. This is small text. This might be a large, either a large font or perhaps it's a header of some kind. Do you know how to change the size of the color of a font as well as the size of a font in a Word document? Yeah, we know how to do that. I know how to do that. I may have to read or do a Google search to remember how to do it, but I'm pretty sure at some time in my life that I have done it before. When I look at this, okay, we're going to ignore the fact that that picture is changing for the moment. We're going to ignore that. My batteries are dying. Oh, you can't see it. When I look at this black header across the top, I see WSU Homey, Weber current students. I don't know, maybe, just maybe, that is a table with 1 row that has some cells, and there is text inside of there. I'm definitely seeing an image on the screen, although the image is moving. This might be, perhaps maybe, a table that has 1 row as well that has images in it. This is just a document that has elements on it, like pictures and text with fonts and sizes and colors. It has tables. We know how to do that in a document, right? We have done that in Word documents before. We have the ability to do that. So, we're going to do that to create this thing called a web page. Because all a web page is just a document that contains some stuff. And we're going to find out that there are 3 things that are required in order to create a web page. A web page. 3 things that we need. The first thing that we need is some kind of a text file. The text file is where we're going to put the things that we want on our web page. This is where we're going to put the words and the pictures and the image and the fonts and the colors. This is where we're going to put all this stuff in just a text file. We're going to use a very, very simple text file. For our purposes in this class, we're going to use WordPad, Notepad, whatever you happen to find on your computer. WordPad, Notepad. The second thing that we need is some kind of a program that will be able to read my document that I'm going to call a web page. Well, there's a program. So let's say, for instance, that I have okay, this is interesting. If I have a .doc, a docx file, what kind of software reads that? Say it again? Microsoft Word. A doc file? What if I have a .xls file? What kind of document reads that? Microsoft Excel. What if I have, a PPT? I'm stuck on Microsoft products, my apologies, but PPT would be a Microsoft. What kind of software do you think, what kind of program do you think reads or opens web pages? A web browser. That's exactly it. So the second thing that I need is some kind of a program or some kind of software that can actually read this web page that I'm about to build. A browser. I'm probably just going to use Chrome or Firefox. We have Internet Explorer and any of a dozen other browsers that you want to use. The browser is going to be able to read the text file that I'm going to create. The third thing that I need is the programming language that will allow me to put these elements into my text file. So we need some kind of a language. The language that we're going to use is HTML. It stands for Hypertext Markup Language, HTML. So we need a language, we need a document or a text file to write that in, and then I need a browser that can read the document that I'm about to create. These are the three things that we need. So let me tell you, first of all, or maybe not first of all, but there is a difference between the World Wide Web, people call it www.amazon or something like that. There's a difference between the World Wide Web and the Internet. You know how I know there's a difference? They are not the same. We use these words interchangeably. The Internet and the web, we use these words interchangeably. You know how I know they're not the same thing? Well, based upon Chapter 1 in our history of computing, the Internet was born in 1969. And based on that same chapter of history, the World Wide Web wasn't born until 1989, 20 years later. That means that there was a span of 20 years from 69 to 89 where there was no World Wide Web, but there most definitely was an Internet. And I distinctly remember, you want to talk about feeling old, I distinctly remember the years before the World Wide Web. I remember connecting to this thing called an Internet through my dial-up modem. I had to actually dial a phone number, and then I could hear my modem dial, and then it would call it, and then some screen would pop up, which was a bulletin board. You would call bulletin boards. And it was just a black screen with the white prompt and the clink, and people would build little ASCII art with, dashes and dots and square braces and curly braces. And press 1 if you want to download a file, press 2 if you want to send a comment, press 3 if you want to register for the site, and I would have sticky notes around my monitor with the phone numbers of local bulletin boards, because I didn't want to dial long distance. That would have cost a lot of money. So I'd go in there and press 1 to download a file. It would be like the executable of a new game. So I would download, I could go cook dinner while I was waiting for that file to download, because, well, those were rockin' fast download speeds or modem speeds at the time. And then I could come back and I could install that game and I could play the game that I had just gotten off the bulletin board. I would hang up, I would call another bulletin board, and maybe I'd upload that file, because we did file sharing, legal file sharing. Upload that game to a different bulletin board, and you have 7 or 8 phone numbers. This was before the World Wide Web. So the World Wide Web was invented in 1989 by a man who said to himself, I don't want to have to dial up this bulletin board to download that file and then hang up and dial up another bulletin board to share that file. What I would really like to do is find some way that we can connect all these documents, because the whole purpose of the Internet was born out of this idea that research facilities wanted to be able to share their research with other scientists. Instead of, sending them a hard copy, writing it out on a tape drive or something and sending that through the U.S. mail. They wanted to be able to share these documents electronically, so they created this connection between computers to be able to share documents. But it was still a very, very tedious manual process. So in 1989, ordinary people thinking up brilliant stuff, this man said to himself, Tim Berners-Lee, now Sir Tim Berners-Lee, he was knighted by the Queen, we need to be able to somewhere to share documents. Somehow we have to be able to share the documents. And he thought up this idea of something called a hyperlink. I would like to just be able to be reading a file, and if I click on something, it is a hyperlink to the document somewhere else, potentially somewhere else. He created a brand new language called HTML and a web browser, which is a software program that could read this brand new language, and the Internet, the World Wide Web is born. If the Internet is a collection of millions upon millions upon millions of networks, the World Wide Web is a collection of millions upon millions upon millions of documents. links between millions of documents as opposed to links between millions of computers or networks.